Beat up.
Giving time so fast. Oops, we killed Brownie.
Neferu.
Oh my god, drunk Neferu.
Alright. So it's gonna be after the breakfast, right?
Fuck! God damn it, Nicole! I was just about to post that.
And here.
Okay. So.
We're getting there. Almost there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just a few more lines.
All right.
Calm has to say something, I think.
So time for the splash.
Oh, this scene was really sad.
You guys ready for the climax of the whole fucking story?
Yeah.
I'm yawning a lot, but yes, I'm ready.
I came at the right time.
Let us begin.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Okay, for posterity, I'm gonna save it here so that the next save we have is gonna be after this session. We are clear for landing.
I plunge into the water with a splash, the cold taking my breath away in an instant. Immediately, I realize the mistake of jumping into the lake with a heavy robe. I'm able to kick out of the loose-fitting garments within a few seconds, though, and I start swimming around the edge of the balcony towards the shore. It's not that far, but I start to worry as I feel my arms and legs burn from the strain. And even though the beach is right in front of me, it seems to take longer than it should for my feet to touch the ground. Just as I feel my limbs start to give out, I feel the sandy bottom of the lake against my toes. I gasp with relief, struggling through the deeper end of the shallows before stumbling up to my hands and knees, forcing myself to move forward until I reach the beach. Even now, in this moment of desperation, I have to lay out in the sand for a moment, gasping for breath as I feel my numbed limbs slowly come back to life. I suppose all the anxiety and no food all day have left me feeling weak. I finally realize how exposed I am out here, how easy it would be for someone to see me from the gardens, or even from the windows of the palace. With a grunt, I force myself to roll over and start crawling for the tree line in the garden so that I can at least have some cover. As I crouch there in my underwear, still trying to catch my breath, I realize how quiet it is out here. Again, it's a striking contrast to how violently things had changed just an hour ago. Finally, after a deep breath, I start pushing my way through the gardens, walking through the foliage rather than using the paths. I doubt anyone's taking a garden stroll considering what happened, but the one thing I've learned is that no one is predictable here. So I try to keep hidden, using the large, exotic-looking plants as cover before leaping across the paths, ducking into the plant life again. As I get closer to the palace, I try to think about how I'm going to do this. With any luck, no one's actually in the palace. It would make sense after what happened. If anyone is in the palace, I just have to hope they aren't Cato. There's also the problem of actually getting Amicus out of the dungeons. While I might be blind to calm, Amicus definitely isn't. I need to get to Neferu. He would definitely know about what's happened by now. Maybe we could come up with a plan if he doesn't have one already. He already seems to know what to do, well, usually. I just have the hope that something hasn't happened to him. So, as I come to the palace entrance, I look around, the quiet starting to become unnerving. 1 second, water break. I don't see anyone, so swallowing hard, I jog towards the entrance of the palace. The cool air of the hallways hits my damp skin and makes me shiver, both from cold and the tension. I'm sure to keep close to the walls, always looking ahead at the doorway or pillar that I can duck behind in case I see someone. Luckily, that doesn't happen, and I'm more and more confident that no one is actually here. Before I know it, I'm coming up to the hall that holds Neferu's room. My breathing quickens as I get closer to the door, knowing that I'll feel a lot better if I can have some guidance. I've been here for a while and I've gotten used to the way things are. I'm used to the way of things, but I'm completely out of my element now. I make it to the door and reach out, pressing the panel to slide it open. The room is empty. I stare for a moment, as if doing that will make the jackal magically appear back in his bed where I saw him last. Then I see something on the floor. Shards of shattered glass, wine bottles knocked from the table to the floor. An ominous feeling starts to blossom in my chest as I note the purplish red stain amongst the glass, the spilled wine dripping from how long it's been. The spilled wine dried from how long it's been there. I swallow again to wet my throat, looking at the ceiling, about to call out to Calm and ask for Neferu's location before stopping myself. I don't know if actually alerting Calm to my location is a good idea. I'm pretty sure the security portion of the AI is separate from the rest of Calm, but I don't want to chance it. I stand there for a moment, unsure of what to do now. I could go around the palace looking for the jackal. He could be anywhere, really. But seeing the glass, knowing what's happened, I'm just denying what's obvious here. I just have to hope that he's okay, wherever he's been taken. I lean against the frame of the doorway for a moment, trying to think of what to do next. I could look for Virginia, but I have no idea where her room might be. Besides, if the state of Neferu's room is anything to go by, I wouldn't be surprised if she's been taken somewhere against her will as well. Cato probably knows everything that we were planning. There's really no other choice but to go to the dungeons, tell Amicus about what happened, and maybe he'll know what to do. Just as I'm turning to go back out into the hallway, I hear footsteps. I quickly draw back into the room, reaching up the panel to shut the door again. Before I do, though, I hear something else, a small muttering in a very familiar voice. I linger just inside the room, listening as the voice draws closer.
Oh dear. Oh, Gallon, this is too much. Too much.
I grit my teeth, listening as the cat comes closer, sounding like he's alone. I suddenly make up my mind as to what I'm about to do next.
I'm going to be killed. I'm going to be killed. What was I thinking?
At that moment, the cat passes the doorway. He's got his paws up to the side of his face, looking busy staring at the ground to even notice me. Oh, too busy staring at the ground to even notice me. He's close enough that all I have to do is reach out and grab him by the straps of his robe before yanking him into the room as hard as I can. Immediately, the cat shrieks, the sound bending comically with the force of my tug. I swing him around towards the middle of the room before turning around to quickly shut the door. Alex starts yelling as he tumbles to the ground, rolling several times before coming to a stop next to the shattered bottles. He curls up there, covering his face as he cowers on the ground.
Wait. I'm sorry for whatever it is I did.
The cat continues to grovel before finally peeking through his paws to look up at me. He goes quiet, though he remains fetal, as if deciding if he should still be scared or not. Suddenly, he seems to make up his mind and quickly stands, brushing off imaginary dust as he fixes his face into one of bland disinterest.
Oh, Marco. I thought you might be someone else. My apologies.
I glare.
What reason did you have for grabbing me so roughly?
No more bullshitting from you. What the hell is going on?
The cat finally stops fidgeting and faces me, though he doesn't make eye contact, staring at the door behind me instead.
Well, I'm sure you already know that, don't you? I'm surprised Cato let you out, to be honest.
Something about Alex's demeanor, not only the way that he's acting now, but the way he's been acting for the past month, gets to me at that moment. I step forward suddenly, and though I want to hit him, I settle with just giving him a hard shove in the chest that sends him tumbling back with a noisy slapping of his sandals on the stone floor.
What the fuck, Alex?
He windmills his arms, trying to catch his balance. And when he finally does, he brings his paws up to his chest, his ears pinned back and claws unsheathed. I don't know if Alex is any good at fighting, but I'd rather not get raked by those things. So I hold off on giving him another shove. Besides, he looks scared again. He's looking scared again, staring at me wide-eyed.
Don't touch me.
I grit my teeth, forcing myself not to do it again.
Then tell me, what is it you're doing? Why did you do this?
What?
This time I step forward and raise my fist threateningly, and immediately the cat covers his face, cowering. I realize then that Alex probably doesn't have any fighting skills at all. That he might actually be a coward rather than just pretending to be one. This realization cools my desire to really hurt the cat. Instead, I just wait again until Alex lowers his paws, looking at me with fear. I guess that's a good thing. Amicus had told me in the past that a few sapient primates in the Alexios are really only known for a few things, one being that they can't swim and the other being their incredible strength. I suppose it's a good reputation to have, even if it's not true for humans, but Alex wouldn't know that. I take another threatening step forward.
Tell me.
All right.
I'm surprised by the cat's sudden exclamation, his eyes screwed shut as he raises his paws to his head fur, tugging at it in distress.
I'll tell you whatever it is you want if you just leave me alone. I'm tired of this goddamn palace and psychopathic wolves and half-developed children.
I ignore that jab at me, staring at the cat, waiting.
I'll probably be deported soon anyway, if not executed.
The cat's voice catches in his throat, and he raises a paw to his mouth, seemingly about to cry again. He really is scared, and that gives me an idea.
Listen, I'm trying to help Amicus to his rightful place on the throne. Maybe if you help me out, and Amicus does become emperor, I can work something out for you. You know how close the two of us are.
I wait as he tries to gather himself, clasping his paws together before simply looking at the ground. He doesn't say anything, though, so I sigh.
Why did you tell Cato about our plan?
Echo.
Nox, do you mind pulling the mic away from your mouth?
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. It's just needed a little bit more distance.
Alex echoes my sigh, looking away off to the side.
There's a lot of Galaxis politics that you wouldn't understand, Mark.
Well, simplify it for me then. I might be half developed, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of how things work around here.
And if I tell you, you'll help me leave this cursed moon?
I grit my teeth.
Yes.
Alex side-eyes me before shaking his head.
I became a pet for a single reason. Not for an ambassadorial Adastra more. Not even to gather intelligence. I mean, originally that was my purpose, but I became close to Cassius over the course of several official meetings. my department took notice, and I altered my assignment.
The cat goes quiet again.
Alright, then what are you here for now?
Alex takes a deep breath and looks me in the eyes.
Chaos.
I wait, but that's all the cat says. I frown at him.
You're here to create chaos?
Alex's voice suddenly becomes monotonous.
An unstable government creates an unstable society. Progress is stalled, and outward endeavors turn inward. Society worries less about what is happening outside their borders, while becoming more concerned with their own issues.
It's like he's reciting something that he's heard many times before. Thinking about it, the explanation seems to have some reason to it. Alex seemingly senseless decisions and shifting alliance and general odd behavior could be explained by this. He's only here to make things more difficult for the wolves to integrate back into the Alexios, to prevent them from progressing out of the technological and economic slump they're currently in. And he's not just against me, Amicus, Cassius, or even Cato, but rather all of us at once. I think about the billowing smoke over Adastra City, what's probably happening to dozens of cities right now, and I suddenly feel an overwhelming feeling of disgust for the cat in front of me. A lot of things have happened on this moon that bother me, but this particular act of sabotage is probably the worst. Just something about how careless it is, not knowing what will even happen, just that it will hurt the Empire, the people. Alex sees the look on my face and quickly takes a step back, looking away.
But it is. And the.
Hey, Cam.
Yeah?
I don't know why, but for some reason, like, more than half of the words that you're saying are, like, not coming through.
Oh, seriously? Shit, give me a moment.
Okay, so I heard all of that.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna try and, like, mess with the sound settings, but is it really that bad?
It was like, I could barely hear, like, 3 words.
What about now?
It's good. Like, I can hear I'm able to hear all of what you're saying. It was just the issue of, like, the words literally not coming to me. So,
Alright.
yeah, that's
Maybe
good.
I'm speaking too quietly.
I actually don't know. But hey, thank you
Alright.
for fixing that.
Where were we?
You can just read this line over again.
Where were we at?
I understand that it may seem harsh.
Alright. I understand that it may seem harsh, but it is my duty and the Cassius to keep us safe from Adastra.
There it goes again.
Oh no.
Why is it happening?
Do you have like a push to talk function or something?
No, not really.
Is it because you're talking louder?
No idea, actually.
Do you face away from the mic when you're reading the script?
No. It's just
Then-
my microphone being weird.
Okay.
What?
Try reading the line one more time.
Alright, if it doesn't work, I guess I'll just cry.
Cause I mean, the thing is that whenever you're talking normally, all of your words are coming through, but for some reason, like reading the script is like mostly silent.
Huh. Well, maybe the script doesn't want to be read. Let me see. I'm gonna try again. I understand that it may seem harsh.
Oh, that's good.
But it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. I understand that it may seem harsh, but it is my duty to Amorpha and the Galaxias as a whole to keep us safe from Adastra. If you knew the history.
I assume you started the rumors about the triumvirates and pinned it on me?
I may have started the rumors, but I never implicated you.
But you knew that would happen.
Alex opens his mouth, then shuts it, looking away again.
And after I woke up in the gardens, told you about the doctors, you probably told Cato about our relationship then, too?
Alex frowns deeply, taking another step back, looking almost like a child that got caught doing something wrong. I feel my face grow hot, not really confident anymore that I'll be able to hold myself back from caving this cat's face in. Maybe later, but this isn't important right now. Even if this creature in front of me is responsible for half of my troubles, if not all of them.
Where is Neferu, or Virginia?
Alex seems surprised for a moment at the sudden shift in conversation.
Well, Virginia is to be married to Cato later today.
My stomach lurches at that, but before I can even comprehend what that means, Alex goes on.
As for Neferu, well, you don't know?
I've been locked in Amicus's room all day. I don't know anything.
Well, Neferu is scheduled to be executed, I think.
I stare.
What? When?
I'm not completely sure. I woke up alone in the dining room, saw it on the news channels.
No, when is he being executed?
I don't know. It was going to be sometime today.
But it hasn't happened yet, right?
I don't...
I cut Alex off, not caring anymore about alerting Com to my location. Yes, Marco.
Has Neferu been executed?
There is a pause. For a moment, all I can hear is my heartbeat hammering in my ears, and for a surreal moment, I feel like I'm going to pass out and have to square my pass out, and then I have to square my stance to make sure that I don't go falling over. The pause seems longer than normal, like Com is having trouble finding that information that I asked for. Then, here's what I found. The execution of Neferu, the Pharaoh's second son, is to take place in the Royal Amphitheater on the 14th hour for crimes of espionage and conspiracy to murder Cassius, Emperor Cassius. The execution will be broadcasted live on all public.
How much time until the 14th hour?
15 minutes and 31 seconds.
Shit!
What the hell am I supposed to do? That's not enough time at all. Even if I can get to Amicus, I can't get him out in time before.
The cat.
I turn my eyes to Alex, and he immediately turns away again, trembling.
Can you get Amicus out of the dungeons?
In that moment, I almost slap him, but I stubbornly force my shaking hand to stay at my sides.
Can you fucking get him out or not?
I think so. Cassius gave me almost unlimited access to Com's security.
My heart leaps in my chest.
Then let's go down there and get him the hell out.
I turn to the door, but notice Alex is still frozen in the same place. The look on his face makes me cringe again.
Yeah. But you won't let him in prison or execute me if I do?
Alex, I will kill you right now if you don't fucking do what I tell you.
The cat jumps and yelps as I scream at him, scrambling to head out the door with me hot on his heels. The cat was at least right about one thing. I will never be able to be a diplomat, if that's what he really is. I follow as closely to the cat as possible, practically stepping on his heels. Alex is clearly aware of it as his ears twitch back and forth nervously, trying to impatiently, inconspicuously glance back at me every now and then. Halfway to the dungeons, though, the PA system crackles over our heads. Citizens of Adastra, please prepare for the imperial address of Emperor Cato. Alex looks back, but I force him to keep going with some prodding in his back, praying that maybe this won't have to do with the execution, or that Cato might be canceling it altogether. Of course, that's not the case.
Citizens, it is a momentous day in the long history of our glorious moon.
I shove at Alex's back again.
Just run.
Alex does as he's told, though it's still not as fast as I like. It's still not as fast as I'd like to go.
After 10,000 years, we're finally choosing our own path. We're taking control of our destiny.
I'm beginning to realize that after waiting for so long, unsure of what I'm... Oh, no, that's him. That's Cato.
Oh, this is not Kata. This is an unnamed, so this is narrator.
Oh, odd. Okay.
Interesting.
I'm beginning to realize that after waiting for so long, unsure of what my destiny might be, it's going to be decided today, no matter what the outcome might be.
And that begins with showing our fellow siblings that we will no longer tolerate their belittling, their false sense of superiority, their arrogance.
Alex and I come up on the door that leads to the dungeons, and the cat awkwardly starts climbing down the ladder, having a great deal of trouble with his robes.
And we especially will not tolerate spies, which have kneeling before me as I speak.
Hurry!
I yell at the cat as I start sliding down the ladder myself, almost knocking him off as I reach the ground at almost the same time.
The offerer of false alliances, the whore of jackals, the flower of Chemia.
I follow the stumbling cat through the musty halls of the dungeon, never having been in this deep before, never having been in this deep before, considering my meetings with Amicus had to take place near the entrance. We reach a cell door, and Alex presses a paw to the panel on the wall, a beige marble slab, rather than more of a glassy black panel above. It opens to a small, cramped cell, a bed in one corner, a sink, a toilet, and a tiny shower in another, and what looks like a desk near the door. Amicus is on the bed, curled up on his side, facing away from us.
Amicus!
I shove roughly past Alex, sending him to smack face first against the doorframe with a yelp. The big wolf starts to stir before I reach him and throw my arms over him. I feel him jump underneath me, and I know I must have just woken him up. He turns his head to look at me.
Just a second. Marco?
He sits up against my hugging, automatically rubbing his arms around me.
Wait, how did you...
He looks over my shoulder.
Alex?
Amicus, Cato is emperor. He's about to execute Neferu. You need to...
I choke in my words, only now feeling the weight of the information I'm just dropping on Amicus now.
You need to challenge him to combat.
I surprise myself as I suddenly start crying, realizing my own words as I say them. In that moment, I can see all of the confusion, bewilderment, and shock in the wolf's face, his mouth hanging open just slightly. He probably wants to ask a million questions, but in the space of a few seconds, I see his expression set into one of serious determination.
Alright, where he is.
The sudden shift from confusion to a sense of duty and confidence actually stops my crying, even as the first tears spill over.
the amphitheater. It's happening right now.
For just a moment, the wolf continues to hold me, wiping a tear away with his thumb, then gingerly moves me aside as he swings his legs over the edge of the bed.
Alex, can I leave the dungeon?
Tom, let Amicus leave the dungeons, please?
Alex looks up at the ceiling, clearly unsure of what he's doing. Shall I remove Amicus from the prisoner list, Alex?
Yes.
It is done. At that moment, I suddenly realized then that Cato isn't being broadcasted down here. I don't even know if the execution has been carried out yet or not. Amicus hops off the bed.
All right, he must move.
This time, Alex is knocked on his ass as Amicus practically steamrolls him on his way out the door. I jump over the cat as I follow the wolf. Though much bigger, Amicus is still just slightly faster than I am as I sprint after him, his thundering footfalls echoing through the halls. He yells back at me as I follow.
What of Cassius?
Poisoned. I don't know what his condition is right now.
I gasp out the answer, and I can't see his face as Amicus is silent, continuing to run. We reach the ladder, and Amicus somehow climbs the thing with 3 gigantic lunges, skipping several rungs at a time. By the time we reach the top, he's already out of sight.
So now, let this be a warning to Chemia, or any other sibling race.
I run out into the gardens, in the direction of the amphitheater. I just catch the sight of Amicus's tail as it disappears around some trees, down the trail that leads to where Cato should be.
We will not hesitate to eliminate you if you meddle in our matters.
There's a sense of finality to those words, and I know that we're out of time. I'm on the path to the amphitheater, and though it only takes a few seconds to make it to the end, it feels like an eternity.
You are on the right path.
I burst through into the clearing of the amphitheater, just as I hear Amicus yell.
Stop!
I look down the steps to see my wolf standing at the base of the stairs, his paws out wide, standing in front of Neferu and Cato. The jackal is knelt on the ground, his paws restrained behind his back somehow. A look of dazed disbelief on his face. His face is forced to look up because Cato is holding him by... Cato has a hold of his head fur, tilting the jackal's head up so that his neck is fully exposed. And Cato's other massive paw is a shiny gold decorative dagger, and it's just inches away from Neferu's neck. Meanwhile, directly across from me, sitting in front of the statue of Drusus, sits Virginia, a wreath of flowers over her head, looking shocked as she stares at her brother.
I challenge you, Cato. I challenge you to a trial by combat for the throne, as is my birthright.
It's always hard to judge Cato's facial expressions, but I can see the tightness in his jaw all the way from here.
Ooh.
Cato glances upward, and for a moment I wonder if somehow he knows I'm here, that he can see me. But then I notice the camera drones hovering overhead, broadcasting all of this to Adastra. The entire Empire is seeing this.
Why? Don't we wait until this is finished, Amicus?
It would be wise to stay your paw, Cato, unless you're afraid you'll lose the trial.
The corner of Cato's scarred eyes twitch. I can tell that then Amicus is playing this all up to the cameras, and that seems to settle it for Cato. With a grunt, he pulls Neferu up to his feet by his head fur, making the jackal wince before shoving him towards the front seat where Neferu slumps down. Then the old wolf walks past Amicus, setting the dagger down on the long curved bench as well, across the aisle from Neferu.
You know what, Amicus? I think you're right. This is something you should do immediately. We don't want to leave the Empire in limbo for any longer, do we?
Amicus watches the other wolf wearily as he walks around him to stand in the center of the amphitheater.
It's best to settle everything as soon as possible.
I know that Cato is referring to all of us, Cassius, Virginia, Neferu, me, and I'm sure Amicus does too, because he glances back up at me for just a moment.
Then let us settle. Sorry. Then let us settle it.
Slowly, I start to make my way down the steps, glancing over at Virginia to see that she's sitting up completely straight, staring at Cato and Amicus, her paws clutched in her lap. I move towards Neferu, who's sitting in the front bench, hunched over a bit. I can see metal glinting from where his arms are being held back.
All right then. Trial by combat. Simple Pugna with no weapons. Just teeth and claws.
Cato stretches.
I'll give you the advantage of sight, Amicus. There should be no trouble for you at all, eh?
Even though it's true, Cato still seems very, very confident. And he probably has every right to be, considering his skill at fighting, along with the fact that Amicus has been locked up for several days in a cramped cell. He probably only said that to increase the humiliation if Amicus loses, if he dies. It's then that I start to feel the dread and terror begin to poke through the numb shock I've been feeling. But somehow, Amicus looks completely calm, and I take some comfort in that. Quietly, I sit down next to Neferu, and he glances over at me.
Oh, Marco, what brings you here?
Though his words are casual, his usual smug demeanor is gone, practically blanked out as he sits there, slightly hunched.
Are you okay?
I whisper to the jackal, and Neferu takes that as his cue to do as well. The jackal shrugs his shoulders.
Not exactly, no, but I'm alive for the time being, so I suppose I can't ask for much better.
I look back into the amphitheater, wishing that we were able to do something more. I try to catch Amicus's eye, but he keeps his focus on Cato, his eyes narrowed. He looks confident, prepared, ready for whatever it is that Cato throws at him. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready at all. That brief interaction in the dungeons, those few seconds of holding each other, that could be the last time we ever... I blink back the tears again, knowing that won't do me any good right now.
Are you ready, Amicus?
Yes.
Then let us begin.
Immediately, the two wolves begin to circle each other, paws raised up and up to their chests, open and ready. The only difference from the past Pugnu fights I've seen is that they are both baring their teeth. Amicus does it in a way that I've never seen before. Not even when he was furious. It's visceral, feral, like I've seen wolves do in nature documentaries. Then they clash. It's so fast that I'm not able to tell who's the first to move. But one moment they're several feet away, But one moment they're several feet apart, and the next, their paws are clasped together while their jaws snap in the air, both going for each other's throats. Glistening strands of saliva go flying as they both bite and block with their teeth, ears pinned back, making hoarse, angry barking and growling sounds. It's something I've never seen an Adastra wolf do, but not even in their fake dramas. This feels raw and instinctual, like it's a part of them, something they try to conceal, only to come up to the surface when they're trying to kill. I find myself hugging my chest, feeling as if my heart might explode as I watch Amicus, trying to see if he's hurt, wincing every time I hear the solid thwack of teeth on teeth. It might have only lasted a few seconds, I can't tell, but finally Amicus pulls back and Cato suddenly lunges in for Amicus's neck. Sorry, for the wolf's neck. Time slows, and for a moment I start to think about what I'm going to do if I lose him. But then Cato's open. Fang-filled maw drops down, so does the rest of Amicus. Huh? So does the rest of him as Amicus sweeps his leg with a powerful kick. Cato goes down hard on his side, right in front of me, wheezing before Amicus jumps on him, landing on the old wolf with his knees and fist to the face. This is up. Landing on the older wolf with his knees and a fist to the face. Cato doesn't even seem to notice that though, as he immediately grabs onto Amicus, their paws scrambling at each other as they both try to find a hold. They're at a stalemate for a while, each one failing to find a good grip as they both twist and turn over each other, making snarling sounds all the while. At some point, I have trouble discerning the two, their legs and arms seeming to blend together as they grip around each other's body. I was never told much about combat to the death, even when I asked Neferu. All I know is that they tend to be very short, but it's already felt like an eternity. Suddenly, I'm able to tell them apart as Cato locks Amicus's right arm into a shoulder lock. While I've seen it done before...
Sorry for interrupting, but this is the top of the hour. Should we take a break before shit gets even more real?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my god, I was so fit. Sure.
You scared me.
Sorry about that. Sorry. But,
No, it was just getting good.
yeah, no, it's really fucking excellent.
I'm like, I'm sitting here in anticipation, and it's like,
Yeah.
The heart rate's increasing.
It's hard to breathe.
But, do you guys want to do a short one, like maybe 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
let's
I
do
have
that.
some tears.
That sounds appropriate.
Everyone's doing great so far.
Make sure you have your box of
Yes.
tissues, Mox.
I want to hear some real tears when it happens. I want to hear sobbing.
You're evil.
No, with the fight music still on the background.
Oh my god.
It's very tense.
I had to mute it. I'm just constantly on
My
edge of
face
here.
is like literally bright in like just staring at the screen. It's just so into it. I'm so into it.
Someone pause.
I remember the first time I read this scene, it was I think 2 a.m. I was on my bed with my PC like, oh my god, what's going to happen? No.
I can only remember the amount of time that I cried after what happens in the game.
Oh, no.
I was so pissed at Howley.
I read this at, what was it? 4 a.m.? Oh god. That was a night.
Yeah.
It's like after a certain point when you read Adastra for the first time, you can't stop, because it's just never ending. the tension, and you just want to know what's next. You're like,
Paladin
no.
never pulls any punches.
Yeah, definitely. I remember reading this at like 3 a.m. Oh. What a climax though. And I didn't even realize there's what, like two more hours of gameplay after the climax.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like, oh, fight's over, game ends.
I absolutely love the way that this story is structured. It's just so perfect in almost every way. It's insane.
I agree. Owly is just amazing at their job.
I am back.
I will.
So whenever you guys want to start, just let me know.
We had a 1 minute break.
Did we?
My goodness.
It felt like so much longer.
Workaholics, my guy.
I think
Oh, 2
everyone
minutes.
wants to get back to it, right?
Maybe. I'm down to go. I'm down
We're
to
on
go.
here, so
I mean,
There might be
Leslie
still a
should be
few
the one
people.
doing the call. Because,
Leslie!
I mean, he has a spot to meet.
Yes?
okay.
Alright. Are we all good?
Yep.
Everyone with their waters,
Alright.
tissues,
Nope.
blood and sweat. Alright.
Suddenly, I'm able to tell them apart as Cato locks Amicus's right arm into a shoulder lock. While I've seen it done before, usually to get another opponent to tap out, Cato immediately goes all the way, and the quiet of the early evening is shattered by a massive pop and crunching sound. Amicus screams, and I find myself standing without even realizing it. It takes everything in me not to jump right in there. Sorry, it takes everything I have not to jump right. It takes everything I have right now not to jump in right now. Even as Cato leans into the hold, causing Amicus to convulse from the pain. Then Cato lets go and my wolf curls over onto his side, shaking violently, loosely holding his arm with his other paw. I went to go to him, but Cato was already there, pushing the younger wolf over into his back.
I should have done this a long time ago, pup.
I knew this would happen. Amicus tries to fight back with his good arm, but even his legs, trying to lock his ankles around Cato's neck, but the old wolf straddles Amicus's waist before slamming a fist hard into his nose. There's a softer crunching sound this time, and Amicus immediately goes limp, his eyes vacant, paws falling to his side. I knew Cato was too skilled for Amicus, but for some reason I thought,
These are the events that shall happen. You are on the right path.
but am I?
Marco!
Neferu whispers hurriedly to me. Cato hits Amicus again, even though the other wolf has stopped moving, and Amicus jerks under the weight of the slightly larger wolf.
Marco, you must run! Cato likely does not know you're here.
Amicus's eyes are half closed, unaware of his last moments as Cato pushes his rear down over the other wolf's thighs, giving him room to reach Amicus's neck.
Run to the city, to the woods, anywhere!
I shake my head silently. Was this really meant to happen? Why was I put on this path if it ends with my wolf's death? Why aren't the parents helping me? At that moment, the light of the setting sun catches something shiny to my left. I look over and I'm almost blinded by the brilliant reflection of Vita's light on the blade of the dagger, the one that Cato had set aside before almost executing Neferu. After almost executing Neferu. The blue and red jewels decorate the handle, while the gold blade shines brighter than any metal I've seen before. The rules don't matter. Robotically, I lean over the aisle and grab the dagger by the handle.
Mako?
I ignore Neferu, and at the same time, I see Virginia directly across from me. Her eyes are wide, and she's standing up, and she's standing too. But instead of looking at the fight, at Cato's jaws coming closer and closer to Amicus's neck, she's instead looking at me and pointing. She's pointing right at Cato, silently encouraging me to do what I'm about to do. But I don't need encouragement. The rules don't matter. I jump from my seat, the distance so small that I come down practically on top of the wolves. At the same time, I raise a dagger in both hands over my head and bring it down as hard as I can into Cato's back. As if in slow motion, I feel the blade slide into my target. Very easily at first, little cutting, like cutting through butter. Then suddenly I feel something hard. There's an odd, muffled, stuttering sound of friction as the blade slows considerably. It continues to sink in though, and the sudden bursts of a few inches at a time. It's only when the hilt reaches Cato's fur that I realize that I've cut deep into bone. A rib maybe? Cato howls, suddenly arching back, and I can only hope I was fast enough that he wasn't able to sink his teeth into Amicus's neck. I'm not finished though, and I tug back once, then twice, before I'm finally able to wrench the blade out of the bone. For a split second, Cato begins reaching back awkwardly, unable to find my weapon before I've drawn it back again, above my head, before bringing it down as hard as I can into the right side of Cato's neck, just at the base. This time the blade sinks in easily. Once again, all the way to the hilt. I yank it back once more, intent on plunging it in again, but finally Cato turns on me, blindly swinging his paw out. His fingers find my right forearm as I'm raising the blade once again, and he takes a tight hold.
Mako!
Can you read that line one more time?
Mako!
His exclamation is part astonishment, part fury. His other paw finds the dagger, and even though I try to hold on to it, it slides from my hand with ease, even though he's holding onto the blade end. Blood is everywhere at this point, and I can only hope that it's only Cato's. I start to back away, trying to look down at Amicus to see what's happened to him, but that's when Cato swings at me again. I feel air. Did I skip a line?
No, not at all.
Okay, sorry. I feel air tickle my neck and chin, and for a moment I think I've dodged the swing. But then I see he's holding the blade out to his right after having swung it at me. Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. I look down and see a sudden spurt of blood, splattering the stone below me, and then another spurt, then another. I step back again and gasp, and when I do, it feels like the air comes from two places at once, and I cough as something liquid goes down my throat the wrong way. Again, I gasp, and this time I hear a bubbling sound through my throat. I finally understand what's happened as I raise my hand to my neck, stumbling, then falling. I expect to slam back against the stone seats, but instead it's against something furry and warm. I look back and see Neferu sitting over me as he's moved to catch me with his lap. He's staring at me with a look of horror on his face.
Mako!
He looks up.
Amicus! Amicus, wake up and help him!
I frown, still worried about Cato, and sure enough, As I look forward, I see the false emperor on his... And sure enough, as I look forward, I see the false emperor on one knee, clasping his neck, bleeding just as much as I am. His ears are perked forward towards Neferu's voice, and I see him start to make his way towards us.
Timian.
The wolf's eyes are wild, furious, focused in the direction of Neferu. He seems to have already forgotten me, even as he seems to realize that he's dying.
You caused this.
I feel that those words, you and this, carry much more meaning for Cato than I could ever hope to know. It's a strange moment as I lie there in Neferu's lap, bleeding out. I suppose I knew Cato blamed the Chemians for most of his problems, for most of the problems of the Empire. He tried to hide it by pretending to give Amicus a fair shot at the emperorship. As that slowly unraveled, his intentions became clear, and so did his insanity. He intends to kill Neferu and completely kill any chance of an He intends to kill Neferu and completely kill any chance of an alliance, even if it means a complete destruction of the Woven Empire. Somehow that's a risk worth taking for Cato. The old wolf draws closer, practically crawling now, leaving heavy splatters of blood across the ground. He weakly raises the dagger, and I feel Neferu tense behind me, probably getting ready to roll out of the way, but then something wraps around Cato's neck. With a gurgled choke, Cato's pulled back by Amicus before being body slammed to the ground. Then Amicus is on the old wolf. Muzzle against his neck, tearing it apart. I stare in shock, then look down, away from the horror of what I'm seeing. And then when I see myself covered in blood, and that's when I see myself covered in blood. So much blood. My entire naked torso is painted red, and more of it continues to pour over my chest in waves, though it's less than the initial spurts I had seen when I was standing up. I raise my hands to my neck, still feeling the strange, cold feeling reaching deep into my throat, like everything's open and exposed to the air. I try to talk, to tell Neferu that I need help, but only a raspy, bubbling hiss comes from my neck. I look up, seeing Neferu look down at me, his expression again one of disbelief. I suppose it would be pretty shocking to see your friend with his neck open, dying in your lap. Am I dying? I try to cover my neck again, but the gash is too deep. It feels like if I lean too far back, my head will just flop over into my back. Vaguely, I hear Amicus's snarling sounds, along with Cato's raspy screams, sounding just like me when I was trying to talk. The edge of my vision starts to go blurry and black, and Neferu's face starts to fade away. Then, suddenly there's a big shift, and I wake back up, this time finding Amicus looking down at me. An overwhelming sense of relief comes over me. I do get to see my wolf after all. I smile at him, even as he stares at me with a look of complete and utter devastation.
No, please. Get Felix, Virginia. Tell Alex to get Felix.
His tears start to fall on my face, and I reach up, trying to brush them away like he's done for me a few times. He catches my hand before I can, though, pressing it back to my neck.
You'll be fine. You're going to be fine. It's not bad. It's not that bad.
I actually chuckle a little at that, because it's very bad. I can tell without even being able to see it. I see the edge of my visions blurring again, and my eyes seem to try to roll upwards on their own, but Amicus gives me a little shake, and that brings me back for a moment.
Hey, stay here, okay? You stay with me, yeah?
I nod deliriously, the overwhelming feeling of calm and warmth keeping me happy and full of love, even though I know what's happening, what's about to happen to me. Should I say that or should I not say it?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I try to speak, but I only send more bubbling blood out of my neck.
No, you don't need to talk. I have you.
How unfair. My last moments, and I can't even tell my wolf that I love him. I reach out with my free hand, settling to give I reach out with my free hand, setting it gently against Amicus's face. I caress his cheek softly, knowingly, and though he holds it against his face with his own free paw, he shakes his head at me.
Stop that. You're going to be fine. Felix will heal you. We'll rest in my room. I'll take you to the island. I'll take you to the city. We'll be happy. We'll grow old together.
The tears start spilling over again, and I just try to keep my smile on my face to show Amicus that I'm okay, that I'm happy, that this is all okay. And though his grief is hard to look at, there's nothing I'd rather be seeing at the end. My wolf's face, framed by the pinkish red of the sunset. And then, as my eyes start to roll back again, I can't stop them, no matter how hard Amicus shakes me.
Marco, no, please, don't leave me here. Please come back to me. You can't leave me alone not like this.
I'm here.
No, speak to me.
I'm staying with you.
So we have a perspective change here, and I don't remember the cast list mentioning another narrator.
Yeah, AOC would be continuing.
AOC is continuing.
It's not yet, though. It's not exactly yet. There's a few more lines that Leslie has to read, and then it's the perspective shift.
Okay,
Right.
cool. Just making
Okay.
sure.
I drift through the blackness, feeling a sense of peace like I've never known before. Even though the space is empty, I feel it crowded with others, so many others. Or is it one other? I sense so many different minds and thoughts melding together as one. Hello? I think this is...
Still Nox.
I don't know who's that is.
Or is it the parent?
No, that's someone else, I think.
This is Nox. This is Nox saying hello into the void.
No, because it then says we apologize for what has happened to you. So it's not the marker.
Oh, okay. So this is the parents, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, who's the parents? Guillaume?
No, it's me, the
No, it's
parents.
Guillaume.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't take my role.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. We apologize for what has happened to you. We know that you are confused. We told you that this could be prevented. And it will be. You will not leave him to be alone. Be at peace for now, or he will come for you. Wait for him.
Amicus is the victor. All hail Emperor Amicus.
The words sound hollow in Amicus' ears, and so does the faint roar of the crowd in Adastra city all the way across the lake. The wolf can only stare down at the human in his arms, suddenly realizing how light and fragile he actually is. And the blood. So much blood that paints the front of his human that just moments ago had been so full of life. A tear drops from the tip of Amicus's nose and onto Marcus's neck, mixing with the blood that has now stopped flowing from the deep gash. Air no longer bubbles through the liquid either. A strange, choking sound works its way out of Amicus's lip, one he's never heard himself make before. The overflowing sadness in his heart has seemingly run out to be replaced by something empty, cold. Like there's nothing there anymore. Still, Amicus wills the human to live, to use those special healing abilities he seemed to possess, to breathe again. But even as Virginia moves to find Felix, Amicus knows that nothing can be done for something like this. Cato had very nearly beheaded the human, cutting through everything that was important. Cradling Marcus' head carefully, Amicus raises the young human up to his chest, hugging him tightly, squeezing his eyes shut and feeling the welling tears pour out over his cheeks, down his chin and to the human's hair. It's quiet, and Amicus opens his eyes to see Neferu still sitting there in front of him, staring in shock. When the jackal meets his eyes, he quickly dips his head, lowering his ears.
Amicus, I'm so sorry.
The wolf raises his eyes to see a drone just over Neferu's head, hovering as its lenses focus voyeuristically on him, broadcasting his grief to Adastra. But this is nothing like those dramas, the tragedies of romantic death he's seen play out on the screen so many times before. There is nothing romantic about this, as Amicus is sure his audience is finding it to be right now. This is real death, and the feeling is familiar. It's hollow, empty, suffocating, like being pulled down into a bottomless cold black ocean. It's like when Mother died and Cassius had screamed over her body like a wounded animal. It's like when he heard the news father had died and how he had fallen to his knees, clutching his chest and gasping for air like he had been shot. But this is worse somehow, and Amicus can't even comprehend it. It hits him harder than anything he's felt in his life. Everything's going gray, the color being sucked from his vision, from his life. And even though he's not sobbing now, the tears are flowing freely down his cheeks. He's not sure how he can recover from this at all. He knows he probably never will. This is his fault. He'd forced the human here. He'd made himself feel better by saying Marco had a choice in the matter, was free to do as he pleased. But that wasn't true at all. He'd taken the human's life, just as Cato had known. Amicus realizes then that he's no different from the wolves he thought himself to be above. That he was more enlightened somehow in trying to hold all sapient life as equal. He's even worse. And even though it would break his heart never to have met Marco, Amicus only wishes that he'd never brought him here in the first place. To his death. The thought brings another wave of heart-wrenching grief to crash through his hollow chest, and for a moment he almost can't breathe.
Please, Marco.
The young wolf whispers into the human's hair, his voice now only a soft whine as fresh tears blur his vision. His teachings since he was a pup began to come to mind. Marco's soul, like the soul of all sapiens, is ascending to the greater intelligence, mingling with the lives of billions of others, with his father, his mother, maybe Cassius too. A place he'll also join one day. But the human soul belonged here, in his arms, not to be mixed and consumed by the parents, not yet. That mixed singular being is in Marco. It's like a beautiful mural being shattered, then reconstructed into something else. Marco still exists. At this very moment he exists, but it's no longer him. Amicus grits his teeth, feeling anger begin to overcome the overwhelming grief. No. No.
No.
How dare they? This isn't fair. The parents had spoken to Marco, had told him what to do, had led him to this point. When the human had told Amicus that he was worried about something terrible happening. Amicus grit his teeth, remembering how he brushed it off, even though he told Marco that he believed him, that he had nothing to worry about if he followed their guidance.
No.
Amicus shakes his head, still clutching onto the human tightly.
Amicus?
Neferu's voice is tentative, almost fearful, like he's worried about what Amicus might do. Amicus isn't even sure of that himself as he rises to his feet, cradling the human in his one good arm, easily able to do so because of their difference in size. He turns and walks quickly toward the palace, almost jogging, ignoring the various jolts of pain throughout his body. He doesn't even glance down at Cato's unmoving body as he passes by. The wolf's expression is stoic now, a strange rage bubbling just under the surface.
Amicus!
Neferu calls out after him, but Amicus ignores the jackal, set on one thing and only one thing only. The parents might have taken his parents, maybe even his brother, but they aren't going to take his human. He won't allow it. As the wolf enters the palace, he notices Alex pacing the hallway. He stops as he sees the wolf approaching.
Cam?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Amicus, heard that you're now emperor and...
He trails off as he sees Marco cradling the wolf's arm. The blood covering the body, flowing down a limply hanging arm to drip gently from the fingertips. Amicus brushes past the cat, eyes set straight ahead, expressionless. Nothing seems to matter. Nothing seems to exist outside of the wolf's tunnel vision. Soon, he comes to the door he's looking for and leans forward, pressing his injured shoulder to a panel to open it, ignoring the blaze of pain that shoots through his arm as he does. Amicus approaches the archive, glaring at the orb, as if the machinery itself is the parents. The big wolf comes to a stop in front of it, staring up at the glowing blue structure for a moment before looking down at Marco. The ashen color of the skin is unnerving, so different from the deep tones it once had. Marco is dead. Amicus knows that, but he won't accept it. The wolf presses his face close to the human's for a moment, feeling the fading warmth before kissing him gently on the top of his head. With that, Amicus leans forward, pressing them both to the sphere. Then he connects, and he merges with the universe.
We continue to drift through infinite space, content. Despite everything, we trust the beings around us, all of us, and the others, the parents. The parents. This was all meant to happen. And though it was hard and terrible, the worst is now over. And that thought alone is enough to keep us completely relieved. Waves and waves of relief washing over us. In a cacophony of thoughts and emotions, though, something stands out. Though it begins to meld together, it seems to become separate for a moment, solely to focus directly on us, on me. This brings me out of my trance for a bit, and I turn my attention to them. Amicus? But then, as I focus more on this being, I get a different feeling. Not him, but her. It seems like she wants to talk to me, to speak to me. She's not familiar, not someone I've spoken to before. But the intensity with which she's focused on me. Knox.
Hello?
I reach out, but then suddenly the amalgamation of intelligence begins to pull away, and I feel myself extracted from its mass. The feeling is bizarre, and I almost miss the crowding of thoughts and feelings of being one of many. But then I feel myself again, my body, my being, my body beginning to materialize out of nothing. The nothingness around me becomes something. For a moment, I'm floating in air. Then I'm being held by something strong and solid. The first thing I see is Amicus's face. He looks down at me, grim and determined. Just as I focus on him, though, his expression changes.
Michael?
I shift a little, trying to focus better on my wolf.
Michael!
Suddenly, I'm surrounded by fur, getting squeezed tight against Amicus, my face pressed into his neck. Instinctively, I wrap my arms around him.
Oh gods, are you real? Tell me you're real, Michael. Please.
He gasps the words, like he's coming up from air after diving into the bottom of the lake. I'm having trouble remembering things, why he seems so upset. But I know something bad happened, and now it's over, so I try to comfort him.
I'm real. I'm here.
My voice is strange, like I hadn't used it in a while. At first, I think I'm back in Amicus's room after waking up from a coma, still trying to convince him that everything is okay. Like we'd gone to sleep and just woken up, and he wants to be reassured again that I'm not going to disappear. But then I remember that Cato came in that morning. Things fall into place like a long row of giant heavy dominoes. I suddenly sit up a bit against Amicus's chest, pushing back so I can look at him.
Wait, the fight. Cato. Amicus, are you okay?
I look over him, trying to check his wounds. The blood and swelling that I'd seen in the amphitheater is gone, though. He's clean and well-groomed, and his arm seems fine judging by its sturdiness underneath me. My brief look at him ends, though, as Amicus suddenly yanks me back against his chest, sobbing against me. I've seen Amicus cry before, back in the dungeons, but not these gut-wrenching sobs that I can feel heaving through my own body. It serves to shock me to my senses even more. Firmly, I push back against his chest, creating space between us so I can hold his face in my hands. He just looks at me, crying openly, and I watch the tears well up in his eyes and seem to disappear into the fur of his cheeks. I'm sure we're both wanting to say a lot of things in this moment. What happened, what's happening now, what will happen, but at this particular moment in time and space, we're together. It's impossible, but it's happening. So I cling to him again, and he just holds me as I press my face into his chest, listening to his hammering heart, squeezing my eyes shut. If this is eternity, then I'm completely fine with it. I'm not so sure how much time passes, but as this thought crosses my mind a few times, my eyes suddenly fly open. I press back again, looking up at Amicus, holding his face again.
Wait, if you're here, did you...
I wonder suddenly if Amicus had been seriously wounded in the fight, that he didn't make it out after all. But Amicus shakes his head gently, his sobs having quiet to subdued sniffles and hiccups.
No, I'm fine. I won. Cato is dead.
I'm flooded with relief. He strokes my hair gently, slowly, and I wonder why he still looks so sad.
But how are you here? Aren't I...
I look around at the infinite space around us. The stars and planets unusually close, stunningly bright, and unimaginatively vivid. The blues and purples and blacks are deep and monolithic, signaling the endless space that stretches beyond.
Am I dead?
Amicus pulls me back against him, forcing me to look away from the churning universe.
No, you're here.
It sounds more like he's convincing himself rather than me.
But where's here?
Amicus is quiet for a moment, and I find myself content to lean against him for a while, just wanting to be close to him. At some point, Amicus had sat down, and I'm cradled in his lap. Considering we're not just floating around in zero gravity, I have to assume that there's something solid underneath us somehow. Amicus sniffles again.
I melded my mind with the archive to speak to the parents. That's all I know.
I think.
Did I do the same then?
I was holding you when I did it.
My neck. The blood. I look up at him again.
Amicus, am I alive?
Amicus looks at me for a moment before his face screws up and tears well up again.
I don't know.
He whines out the words, and I immediately hug him again.
Hey, I'm okay. See? I'm here.
Another sobbing fit starts, and now I know why. I must have died, and now, for whatever reason, the parents have let us reunite somehow. And I know that Amicus must be wondering the same thing I am. How long is this going to last? I try to think of what to say in case this is our last moment together, in case I'm going to be absorbed again. But my mind comes up short in the weirdest of ways, only able to think of things that don't matter. So I settle on just what happened.
You're emperor now, Amicus.
Amicus nods against me, not trusting his voice at the moment, apparently.
I'm so happy for you.
He shakes his head, smearing tears against my chest. I hate seeing him like this. I hate that this might be the last time I'll see him.
Please, don't cry. Let's just be together right now.
I sit up straight and pull my head against my wolf's chest for once, cradling his massive form against me, caressing his ears and neck.
I'm okay. I promise you. I went somewhere when I died.
The word is so strange to say.
It was really nice, full of people. I wasn't alone. It was peaceful.
Amicus takes a long, shuddering breath, finally pulling back from my hug.
That's wonderful, Michael. But I'm sorry, because I'm not letting you go back there.
Amicus suddenly looks resolute as he smirks through the tears.
You're coming back with me.
His voice breaks several times, and I can tell that he really means it. He really is certain that he's going to drag me back from the dimension of the dead. I don't know what to say. I don't know much about the parents or the afterlife, but Amicus must, so I trust him. I smile up at him.
Okay.
He smiles back at me, then very suddenly kisses me. It's rough and wet and kind of misses my lips, but I kiss back, holding him tightly. Once he finally draws back, I'm happy to see my wolf back to his usual confident self, even if he has to keep sniffling with his runny nose. I look around at the swirling cosmos again.
Can you just get us out?
Amicus frowns, looking around himself.
This is actually my first time doing this, so I'm not sure.
Amicus looks behind us, then looks up, then down, then clears his throat.
Con, are you there?
Silence. I can tell that Amicus is already out of ideas.
Parents are doing this, right?
I think so. No one ever spoken to them. You actually have more experience than with that.
Amicus grins at me, then looks back up.
Maybe if we talk back? If we walk back?
I give Amicus a strange look, and just as I'm about to point out the absurdity of walking back to Adastra through infinite space, a booming presence makes itself known.
I suppose you are finished?
Amicus and I both jump, and the wolf leaps to his feet, keeping me held in his arms.
Who's there?
Amicus shouts into the void, snarling.
Okay, Amicus. It's just the monitor.
I say it like he's just an old friend of mine. Amicus doesn't lower his guard, however, and continues to growl into space. The monitor expresses his amusement in that silent way of his, but I can understand why Amicus isn't letting his guard down. It's evident in the way that he's holding me, clutching me tight to his chest. He's afraid I'm going to be taken back from him. I am too.
If you are, I'll open the channel of communication now.
Amicus raises an eyebrow.
What the hell are you talking about?
You wish to speak with the parents, correct? They wish to speak directly with you, at least as directly as is possible.
There's a pause, and I can see the gears turning in Amicus's head. His ears flick.
Yes.
Then it is done.
The monitor's presence vanishes, and suddenly there's another one. Not one, but many, similar to what I'd felt earlier. This is still different. Instead of melding together, the entities are distinct and separate from each other, but they are so similar that they could be copies of a single person. Their intentions feel disturbingly uniform, like they're all on the exact same path. Unlike the Monitor, who at least felt to be on a similar level as any other sapient, these entities feel alien, which is a strange thing to feel after everything I've been through. But these things are so different. So different.
Well, show yourself.
Amicus brags at the emptiness, somehow remaining brave in the face of all those titanic presences.
You cannot see us.
His mouth moves on its own, mind suddenly becoming empty, seeming to blend with the space around them. Amicus looks down at the human in confusion.
What?
He stares back.
We cannot speak directly to you.
Marco?
But we have other methods.
Amicus' face morphs from confusion to horror.
Gods? Marco?
He gives the human a little shake.
Hey,
He can hear you. He is simply occupied at the moment.
Amicus bares his teeth. He begins to shake. He's not sure if it's from anger or fear. Likely both.
if you don't stop,
There is no need to threaten. All is as it should be.
Amicus is left to stand there, staring open-mouthed at his lover. Something ominous and dark churns in his gut. This isn't how he envisioned any of this at all. These are the parents?
what the hell are you?
We are your guide, your benevolent leader, your parent.
Amicus rubs a paw over the human's forehead gently, looking into those blank, staring eyes.
Leave him be, please.
He is not being harmed. He shall return to a normal state after the channeling is complete.
But how?
Simply put, we are manipulating his behavior through the use of the lingua.
Amicus shakes his head, clearly not wanting this at all, but the complete powerlessness he feels right now, it's overwhelming. The speech he'd been planning for this moment, his intentions to tear apart the careless arrogance of the parents, it just dissipates. Seeing Marco just taken by them like this, it's enough to completely cow any courage he once had. And as he stares at the cold eyes of the human, he begins to wonder if this is a nightmare. For a brief moment, Amicus wonders if any of this is real, what reality even is right now.
That is not for you to wonder, Amicus. All that matters is that you are the one true emperor.
What do you want?
Amicus stares down at his human, feeling repulsed by what's happening.
For the work of Drusus to continue, for Adastra to achieve its full potential at last, for the Alexios to ascend.
Amicus shakes his head, trying not to focus on the robotic tone of Marco's voice, on the strange way his jaw moves, forced to speak in the wolven tongue.
I intend to do so, but please let the human go. And heal him, please. He didn't ask for any of this.
The human is also involved, Amicus.
But I involved him.
It was meant to be.
What?
Amicus isn't sure of it's his own mind or the mind of another that brings back the memory of when he opened the archives, how Earth had been near the top of the list of profile planets. How it made no sense that an uncontacted world would be on that list at all. But now it does make sense, but at the same time even less sense. Amicus shakes his head, still reeling at the situation he's in, feeling that he's teetering on the edge of madness.
Steady. There are many things you do not understand, things that you will never understand, and that is fine. Not all things are meant to be understood by all sapiens. But you at least understand that the humans are not uncontacted, are they?
Amicus says nothing, knowing that his mind is being read.
Somehow, Wolven culture is there. So is Chemian culture, Indo culture, all sibling cultures.
The parents go silent and Amicus is left to stare at the puppet his lover has been turned into. Amicus grits his teeth.
Why?
Because they were an experimental microcosm, now a successful one, and it is time for them to be integrated into the Alexios.
Another moment of silence.
And you want me to help do this?
No. Your mission is to help unite the siblings. The first step is Chemia.
That was already my intention.
That is questionable. The situation is perilous. Chemia is furious after what has happened. You need more guidance. That's why you are here.
Amicus snarls.
And I'm here for him.
Amicus nods at Marco, at the shaping creature being used as a mouthpiece.
You are here for the Alexios, and as the Emperor, you now have the onus to know all this information, as your father knew, as his father knew, and so on.
Amicus grits his teeth again, trying to comprehend what's being told to him despite being completely disturbed by what's happening to Marco.
If you wanted galactic integration, then why have you been competing with each other?
This was assumed by the siblings themselves. Competition was never the goal.
Then why not tell us that? You're supposed to be our guide.
The process is slow and careful. Interference is a last resort. This very communication is a last resort, as the siblings' children stray further and further from the path every day. And not just the wolves. It has taken 20,000 years to reach this point, and that time cannot be wasted.
Then why are you telling only me this, and not all sapiens in the Galaxias?
Amicus glares at the face of the human again, stroking the face gently, hating the blank stare he's receiving.
As was stated, minimal interference will result in the best outcome. Only select figures are being informed at this stage. A Galaxias developed independent of interference will better serve the greater cause as a whole.
The greater cause?
The stars and planets shift around them, zooming forward, and for a moment Amicus feels as though he might be sick. Something dark looms on the edge of the universe, growing slowly, leeching the parts that it touches.
The other approaches, and it must be confronted.
At this point, Amicus feels unease pierce through his fog of confusion and anger.
the other. Are we preparing for our against something?
We must prepare for an event many millennia from now. This is one step of many.
Amicus lets out a low growl of frustration, the vagueness of this entire situation making his head ache.
But what does this have to do with Marco?
Amicus shifts his hold on the human, just wanting him to come back to consciousness.
He must play a role, and you must make a decision, Amicus.
Everything seems to come together all at once for Amicus. All the stack of Drusus of his and Marcus' apparently fixed destinies. That decision that wolves fawn over for generations, no matter what opinion they held about Drusus himself. The choice offered by the parents to either save his empire or save his lover. Icy cold fear and dread blooms in the pits of Amicus' stomach and slowly spreads throughout the rest of his body, seeming to leak like a frigid liquid down his groin and onto his legs. The wolf feels his limbs tremble as he pulls the human closer to his chest, lips drawing back as instinct kicks in to protect his mate. For a long while, a length of time that's hard to discern, the wolf simply stares into the abyss. He looks up into the swirling stars, clouds, and planets trying to see these things that are controlling and manipulating him and his lover. Trembling, Amicus shakes his head, taking another step back away, even though the presence of the parents is all encompassing.
No.
Amicus' jaw clenches, hating himself for sounding so weak and afraid. Remembering who he is, the wolf squares his shoulders, glaring up into space.
No, I won't make such a decision.
For once, the unseen place in which the parents reside is silent, but clearly observant. Amicus can feel the prickle of their all-seeing eyes on the nape of his neck.
You hear me? I won't do it. I'll stay here forever if I have to. You can't involve us in this foolishness.
Marcus only shifts into his grasp, his head turning awkwardly, leaning up in a strange way that seems unnatural, as if pulled up by strings. Amicus flinches back, feeling a chill run up his spine as he tries to stop himself from dropping the human he knows so well.
Foolishness.
Marcus stares at him with an expression that Amicus has never seen him make before. It's cold and almost dismissive, an expression Amicus has never seen him make before.
How does this situation, in which the lives of a trillion sapiens teeter on the brink of annihilation, calls for such childish statements? Tell us, in what universe would attempts to avoid such a catastrophic outcome be considered foolishness?
The human suddenly tilts his head in an unnatural way, leaning in closer to the wolf, and Amicus gasps, setting a large paw against Marcus's face, trying to stop the strange, inhuman movements.
Stop that! Don't hurt him!
The human holds the position for a moment, then seems to slowly relax back into the wolf's arms. Amicus feels his heart pounding in his chest. He'll provoke, well, not even anger from the parents, maybe just annoyance, yet the experience had been terrifying. Seeing Marco twist and contour in such a way was unnerving, sure, but the parents had means to do it, and the wolf is beginning to realize why they're using Marco as a puppet. Anger and fear battle for control over the wolf before the latter finally wins out, remembering what type of decision he might have to make.
Please, there must be another way. I can't choose between these two things.
There's a pause in the air, and Amicus feels his knees about to give out, preparing to throw himself at the imaginary feet of these monolithic things. He'll beg until the end of time, woven pride be damned.
What decision do you speak of?
Amicus glances up against at the stars.
The decision presented to Drusus, The one decided for him by Mira 10 millennia ago.
Amicus frowns, knowing that the parents already know that he's talking about, becoming further distressed that they are making him vocalize things that are so obvious.
Oh, Amicus, don't you know the proclivity of your own people to twist and distort, to aggrandize and romanticize the truth?
Amicus is quiet, waiting, heart still hammering, simply feeling numb at this point.
Do not rely on woven myth to inform you of parental intention. Only we will speak the truth to you.
Amicus lets out a little growl, anger overcoming fear again.
And what it is? Why torment me like this?
Several moments of silence pass, and Amicus growls again, frustrated at the way he's been treated, how his emotions are being manipulated and sculpted like a mound of clay. This isn't what he'd been taught at all. Had his father known the parents to be like this? His grandfather? Amicus wishes that he'd been warned somehow. As the silence drags on, the wolf tries to deaden his emotions, to not give these entities any sort of hint as to what he might be feeling, wanting to refuse this blatant attack on his own agency. Despite how futile he knows that must be,
You can bring back your lover. At this very moment, time stands nearly still on your plane. Marco's body and mind are still salvageable.
Amicus's heart feels as though it might leap from his mouth, his hold on Marco tightening.
Oh,
But only if you submit yourself to the benevolent will of the parents. Will you?
Amicus furrows his brow in confusion, unsure of what this all could mean.
but I have already done so. Ever since I was a pup, we've been told to.
After this experience, your mind will waver. You're unsure as to what our intentions truly are. There will be moments in which you will want to question, to doubt our will. You must overcome such moments. Our will is what is best for the Alexios and the universe as a whole.
Amicus stares for a moment.
And if I don't agree,
Then we shall let the human pass on as he naturally would, and we shall wait for a future emperor to take your place.
Amicus shakes his head, not wanting to believe this is true, that this is the way that the leaders of the Galaxies function.
It must be done.
The wolf is quiet, for once wishing that he isn't in such a position, wishing that he could hide away in the quiet countryside with his human to live a normal life.
That is not your calling. It never was.
I know.
Amicus whispers more to himself than the parents. There's a long moment of silence in which Amicus simply stares into space, contemplating what it means to give up any true freedom, to submit himself to the absolute authority of the galaxy.
Will you submit?
Amicus takes a deep breath.
Will my decision affect Marco free will? You said you have plans for him as well.
He will be allowed to make his own decision. We will tell you of his mission once you make your decision.
Amicus stifles another growl, hating that his human is being forced into this as well.
Will you submit?
Amicus closes his eyes. Oh. Then he opens them.
Chris, you should go back a little.
Yeah,
Oh,
there.
sorry about that.
Amicus closes his eyes, feeling his anger and resilience slowly drain away. Then he opens them.
I submit.
So we are at the top of the hour again. Should we stop here or should we finish this next scene?
I say
I think people probably want closure.
Cool. Yeah, we can keep going a little bit, so that's not an issue.
well, are 2 voice actors able to keep going?
Yeah, I think we should.
Nox, what about you?
This next scene.
Nox, welfare check.
I'm here.
Well, are you willing to finish this next scene?
Wellness check, everyone.
Cool.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
The scene also has my favorite song in the game.
Light years apart, I think, right?
Hmm? No, this one is called Quiet Lullaby. Blue light swirls in front of my eyes in intricate spiraling tendrils. It's beautiful, and as I begin to focus, I see the blurry gray shape in the middle of it all. Even before I'm fully able to see him, I know it's my wolf. I smile and reach up, cupping at the warm, furry form. At some point along the little journey, I stop caring about whether the things I see are real or not. I'm just happy that I'm seeing him. He smiles down at me.
Hey.
Hey.
I lie quietly in his arms for a while, just enjoying the comforting blue glow. I'm reminded of when I first met Amicus, when our ship stalled out in the blue dusted cloud, when he finally revealed to me his botched plan. That feels so distant now, like it was years ago, rather than just months. I take a deep breath, and something about it feels strange, almost like something mechanical is moving in my neck. I reach up, touching my fingers to my throat, and for a moment they brush against something that feels like a thin line of flesh. But Amicus reaches down to move my hand away, pressing it to my chest instead.
You're alright. You're gonna be fine now.
What?
That's when I also realize that my voice sounds strange. It still sounds like me, but there's something slightly off about it. Like it's a little higher, maybe even a little robotic. I frown. Amicus presses my chest firmly, comfortingly.
It's okay. I know it might feel a bit strange, but you won't even notice after a few days.
Sorry. What is he talking about? Again, I lay quietly in his arms as I gather my thoughts. The fight, the dagger, the darkness, the parents, then I look up at Amicus and question.
What happened?
I try to ignore the strange, soundless, mechanical clicking feeling in my throat, while almost trying to get used to my voice. It's like hearing myself in a recording, just not quite right. Amicus chuckles, sounding exhausted, relieved, and maybe a little sad at the same time.
Quite a bit happened, Marco.
But the parents, I thought they wanted us to meet them.
Amicus's gentle smile wavers for a moment.
Well, they did. I met them.
What? I don't remember.
I rack my memory, but nothing comes to mind.
You lost consciousness when it happened.
I frown at that, wondering why that would happen, but Amicus doesn't offer an explanation. I look down at my chest. Instead of seeing the coating of blood I expected to see, I'm clean and bare aside from a few small wet spots in my chest. I suppose Amicus had been a bit more emotional before I'd woken up. I look back up at him, then press my hands against his body, and he responds by hugging me close to his chest for a moment.
Oh, it's over? He's decided to bring me back?
My voice is muffled against his fur. My strange, not quite right voice, Amicus looses his hold on me, allowing me to look back up at his face.
Yes, it's over.
The tension that I'd held in my chest ever since I arrived, even since being abducted from my bedroom in Italy, it all releases slowly. For once, I feel light and free, and I sag against the wolf's arms, sighing deeply. Even now, I'm starting to get used to the new feeling in my throat.
I love you.
I love you too.
I smile up against him. I smile up at him, and despite everything being over, I can't help but notice that he seems a bit sad too. I rest a hand against his chest.
You alright?
Amicus laughs loudly, shaking my entire body.
Aside from you losing everything I hold dear, I suppose I'm right, yes.
I try to sit up, but Amicus keeps me reclined gently, but firmly.
You sure? You seem upset.
The big wolf sighs deeply, and I feel his torso puff out against my side and shoulder.
There are things I must tell you, but later. It's not important right now.
That tension that had been so mercifully loosened in my chest suddenly appears again, albeit in a much smaller way. I want to ask more, but for now, I just want to rest.
Well, as long as I'm not gonna pass out and wake up completely confused again, I feel like that's all I've been doing the past month.
Amicus huffs in amusement.
Yes, you do have a knack for such things.
We go quiet again, and it's a nice kind of quiet. We're both just basking in the peaceful aftermath of our months-long struggle. After a while, though, my wolf meets my eyes again.
Michael?
Yes, Amicus?
I'm sorry.
Sorry?
For everything, for taking you from your planet, for involving you in Adastra politics, for acting as if I knew better. Even if it was part of the parents' plan, it doesn't make it right. And I'm sorry.
Man?
Amicus lets out a small, tired laugh, shaking his head.
Again, I'll tell you later. Let's just be together for now.
I nod in agreement, ignoring the clicking in my neck, clinging to my wolf, happy to be in this quiet little corner of the universe, undisturbed by politics, mad emperors, or monolithic space entities.
And that's the fucking climax of the whole story.
The end.
Congratulations!
Forgot about the
Yay.
Let's go.
You guys all did great.
Round of a fucking applause. That
Let's
was
go.
incredible.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Go.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah, that's-
depressed, and I can't cry. God damn it, meds.
Oh.
I literally can't cry because of these meds.
Damn, I cried a little bit.
Like,
Thanks to Shaw's performance of Amicus. It's so good.
I'm
Nice.
trying to cry right now, but it's like.
Was that, you know what? I almost got a little emotional with Puff's reading of the.
Hey.
Yeah, that last scene was kind of hard.
Damn.
God.
Yeah, still no tears for me this time, but some emotions.
You know,
See there.
You were really convincingly emotional though, Jackson.
Thank you.
Word.
I felt them. I felt it. No tears.
Yeah. No tears, but I'm emotional as well.
Remember the
be-
Flowers still remains the only visual novel that made me actually fucking ugly cry.
Wow.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
very
Yeah, it hits
surprised.
really hard, doesn't it?
It's too hard.
The only visual novel that has ever made me feel emotions.
Hang on. I have an.
You think
You know-
Kevin?
Hang on.
It's very hard for me to. It's very hard for me to cry with watching or reading anything, and Adastra really made me ugly cry. The ending is just the ending hurts.
And I can't.
No.
At least we know that we have a terminal montage fan in chat right now.
I can't.
Nice.
Torva, can you explain yourself, please?
No. I can't. No. Torva. Why? Torva.
They kind of like shaped it up like that. Everybody was like, "Oh, Cass might be dead."
No.
Nice,
God.
There's just this incredibly emotional and touching scene, like the fight's going down, and then just like the camera pans inside the palace, and Cassius is just lying there in the Family Guy death pose.
Marco's dead.
No. I can't.
Oh man.
Cass is dead.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Torva.
I actually had to mute the music on the stream during the fight because I was like, it was too intense.
Wow.
No.
Damn.
So
That's why I was messing up so much for that scene.
Wow. So you were watching the screen for the stream, and you just had to turn the volume down. That's crazy.
Yeah, the music was like, it's like dun 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 dun. So
The part of
music was
this
banging.
game that made me cry was the proposal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Me. Yeah. I don't think that made me cry. It just made me like emotional.
Yeah. No, it was because it was right after I had broken up with somebody who told me that they were gonna propose.
Oh,
It's terrible.
Sorry.
And it was like, oh, this is what it feels like. And then I just started crying.
Oh, that's so
Oh.
unfortunate.
well, the first time I'd read Adastra, I was out of commission for a whole weekend, and I had to like miss work
Oh.
because of how bad the ending hit me.
Oh.
Damn.
It took me like 5 days for me to begin to feel better.
So you literally had to like take a mental health day from work because of this game.
Yeah.
Post-Adastra depression is very real, and I think
Yeah, it is.
recognize
Yeah,
that.
it is.
And that's so weird
all-
because I didn't have that.
Me neither.
God,
neither.
I was not good for like 2 entire weeks after finishing this thing. I just didn't feel good. I felt like shit.
Mm.
I don't feel really good
More
right
so,
now.
it was just like a lingering feeling of loneliness, but that's it. But no,
I ended up
yeah.
reading it again the following week because I was just like that distraught.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how I felt after I first read it because I don't know. It just didn't affect me really. I was like, oh, that's sad. Anyway,
I remember
I'm
being
dead
like,
inside.
oh my god. I remember being like, oh my god, this is so sad. You know what would make it better? Consuming
Despacito.
more content.
Yeah,
and then
Alexa
I
played
read
Despacito.
I did the same thing.
I joined here because of it. So
It makes me laugh whenever somebody like goes into a Adastra chat and then says, "What should I play next? Should I play Echo?" And everybody's like, "Yes, please play it.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy it."
I
literally equal to like telling somebody to jump off a cliff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I read Adastra into Echo, and I was like done for the weekend. I could not.
nothing about this is better.
You know, the thing that helped me up a little was actually reading Kimia next in Teria.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I like could, I don't know, it made me feel better.
Reading Kemia next made me angry because then I saw it was on hiatus after.
Yeah, I thought it was way more finished than it was.
I
And
said, "What? That's it? We're only 2 builds in."
That was just 2 dudes having sex. What?
I actually knew.
Not even having sex. They were just hugging each other.
And then
Hey, no spoilers. I haven't read Kemia yet.
Oh well.
I'm sorry. When
don't
two men
know.
hug, that's a spoiler.
Very. I mean, that's just homosexuals in general.
Yeah, I did just say, "Oh well." To that.
I'm sorry, they had physical contact. But anyway, that's the whole story up to the climax, and then we have nothing but smooth sailing, good times ahead for the rest of the game.
I'm telling you what, it's
Sure.
Enough time to make a
Time.
baby.
that one.
I'm gonna be out of commission for a week now.
Really?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Just
I
in
can't.
time for
Immediately
next
afterwards.
session.
Thank you, they were looking for that.
I mean, you really just gotta take as much time as you need just to feel like you can come back to it and keep working. Like, nobody wants you to push yourself too far, and I'm really happy, honestly, that like there wasn't a bunch of tears, you know, because it would have made me cry.
Wailing in chat.
It would have absolutely made me cry if I heard somebody like actually like start sobbing.
Oh, you're gonna hear that from me during the echo stuff. Don't worry.
Oh, I can't wait to
God,
just
yeah.
cry like a completely little bitch.
Yeah.
We are.
Immediately
God.
afterwards, on the same day.
I'm